You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. I'm Nicholas Callis. These are your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Wednesday, July the 8th, 2020. AL East baseball between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox went 11 innings. The Blue Jays scored first in the 6th. The Red Sox tied it up in the bottom of the 8th inning. It took 11 innings for this game to complete, but the Blue Jays got a run on the top of the 11th, and the Red Sox could not respond. However, the Red Sox did out-hit the Blue Jays 8-6, but the Blue Jays ended up winning the game by a run. Thomas Pannone got the win, Josh Osich got the loss, and Ken Giles now has 24 saves on the season. A battle of the Big Apple. The Mets and Yankees played each other, and the Yankees won this game handedly. 14-0, the final score. The Yankees had 5 runs after inning number 2, and they had put on some more throughout this entire game, and the Mets got shut out. They couldn't even score 1 run. Masahiro Tanaka got the win, his 7th of the year, and Steven Matz got the loss. A battle of Chicago. The Cubs and White Sox played each other, and the White Sox came out on top by a 7-4 final. Reynaldo Lopez got the win, Kyle Hendricks got the loss, and Alex Colome now has 25 saves on the season. The Orioles and Mariners played each other. 8-1 is the final score of this game. The Mariners came out on top, and they were thrusted forward by a 6-run bottom of the 7th inning. That really broke the game open, and the Orioles could not recover. Taijuan Walker got the win. Alex Cobb got the loss. The Angels shut out the Tigers. 4-0 was the final score of this game. Julio Teheran got the win, and Jordan Zimmerman got the loss. AL Central baseball between the Royals and the Twins saw the Twins win by a 10-5 final score. While the Twins scored at multiple points throughout this game, the Royals got all 5 of their runs in the top of the 6th inning, and it was a 2-run game at that point until the Twins scored 3 in the bottom of the 7th inning to make it a 5-run game. Rich Hill got the win, and Mike Montgomery got the loss. Interleague play between the Phillies and the Astros. 8-5 was the final score. The Astros came out on top. The Phillies were making a comeback late. They scored 5 runs in between the 7th and the 8th innings. But they ended up losing by 3 because the Astros put up 4 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. Zach Greinke got the win. Sir Anthony Dominguez got the loss. And Roberto Ozuna now has 29 saves on the season. The Braves beat the Pirates 6-2, the final score of this game. Each team scored 2 runs in the first inning, and that was the first and the last time the Pirates scored because the Braves went on to score a run in the 2nd, a run in the 5th, and they got 2 runs in the 7th inning. They ended up winning by 4. Mike Fultonavich got the win, and Joe Musgrove got the loss. Another interleague game, the Marlins and Rangers played each other, and the Marlins came out on top by a 3-2 final score, though the Rangers out-hit the Marlins 7-5. The Marlins scored in the bottom of the 3rd inning. They put up 2. Then the Rangers tied the game with a 2-run top of the 5th inning. The Marlins broke the 2-2 tie in the bottom of the 7th inning with a run, and that score held up until the final. Stephen Tarpley got the win, Lance Lynn got the loss, and Brandon Kinsler now has 24 saves this season. Another interleague game, the Rays and Brewers played each other, 3-1. The final score of this game, the Brewers came out on top. They had scored all 3 of their runs by the end of the 6th inning. Meanwhile, the Rays got their first and only run in the top of the 7th, and the Rays out-hit the Brewers 7-4, but the Brewers made well on their opportunities when they got hits to be able to score runs. Brandon Woodruff got the win, Brendan McKay got the loss, and Corey Knebel now has 7 saves this season. The 2 Major League Baseball teams in Ohio played each other in an interleague game, and the Indians won against the Reds, 4-1 the final score. Aaron Savali got the win, Trevor Bauer got the loss, and Brad Hand now has 31 saves on the season. The Cardinals and Nationals played each other in a close game, but the Nats came out on top by a run. 4-3 was the final score of this game. The Cardinals got 2 runs in the top of the 1st inning. They added on a run in the top of the 8th inning, but then the Nationals put up 3 in the bottom of the 8th to add to their 1-run 6th inning, and that gave them 4 total runs, which allowed them to win the game. The Cardinals could not respond in the top of the 9th. Hunter Strickland got the win, Ryan Helsley got the loss, and Sean Doolittle now has 27 saves this season. NL West baseball between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks saw the Rockies win. 6-2 was the final score. Kyle Freeland got the win, and Luke Weaver got the loss. Another NL West game, the Dodgers beat the Padres 3-0. The final score of this game, the Padres got shut out David Price got his 10th win of the season in this game. Denelson Lamet now 5-7 after getting the losing decision, and Kenley Jansen now has 31 saves. And the Athletics and Giants played each other in a battle of the Bay. This game went 15 innings, but the Athletics were able to win 4-3 the final score. J.B. Wendelken got the win, Sam Coonrod got the loss, and Liam Hendricks now has 32 saves this season. Let's take a look at standings now. Starting in the American League East, the New York Yankees still have the lead. They're 55-37. The Blue Jays still in second with a 53-40 record. They're 2.5 games back. The Red Sox have been hot recently. They lost today, but they've still won 8 of their last 10 games. They're 46-47, 9.5 games back of first place. The Rays are 45-49, 11 games back. They've lost 2 games in a row, most recently to the Brewers, and the Orioles have lost 2 straight to the Mariners. They're 38-56, 18 games back, still in last place in this division. In the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins have won 5 in a row. They're still at the top of the division with a 66-28 record, a record that still holds to being the best in Major League Baseball. The White Sox in second still with a 54-39 record. They're 11.5 games back. The Indians are 51-42, 14.5 games back. The Tigers, 38-55, 27.5 games back. They lost today, and the Royals have lost their last 5 games, also 8 of their last 10. They're 31-62, 34.5 games back of first place. And in the American League West, the Oakland Athletics still lead with a 57-36 record. They beat the Giants today. The Astros still in second. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They're 53-38, 3 games back. The Angels 44-49, 13 games back. The Rangers 38-55, 19 games back. And the Mariners 34-60, 23.5 games back of first place. And here are the wild card standings. The White Sox still have the top spot. They're a game ahead of the Astros, who have the second wild card spot, then the remaining teams. The Blue Jays still in contention. It's been back and forth between the Astros and the Blue Jays for that second wild card spot recently, but the Astros have it right now, and the Blue Jays short by a game. The Indians also in contention. They haven't had the second wild card spot since we've been covering the wild card standings, but they're still close. They just need a stronger push. They're 51-42, 3 games back. Then every other team in the American League has a winning percentage under 500 and is at least 8 games back of that second wildcard spot. In the National League East, the Washington Nationals lead with a 53-40 record. The Marlins and Braves close to each other. The Marlins in second place with a 50-42 record. They're 2.5 games back. The Braves trailing the Marlins by a half game. They're 3 games back of the Nats for first place with a 50-43 record. The Phillies are 42-50, 10.5 games back. They've lost 3 games in a row, and they've struggled recently. And the Mets still in last place with a 42-51 record. They're 11 games back, and they've lost 4 games in a row. In the National League Central, the St. Louis Cardinals are 53-40. They're still at the top of the division. The Cubs still in second, and they're running the risk of going back to 500. They're 47-46, 6 games back of the Cardinals. The Brewers have gotten hot recently. They've won 7 of their last 10 games, and they're also on a 3-game winning streak now after beating the Rays today. And they're getting close to 500. They're 45-46, 7 games back of the Cardinals. The Reds are 39-54. They're 14 games back. They lost today, as did the Pirates. The Pirates are 33-59, 19.5 games back, and the Pirates have the worst record in the National League. In the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers, 63-30. They're still at the top of this division, and they still have the second best record in Major League Baseball. The Diamondbacks have lost 2 games in a row. They're still stuck at 50 wins, but still a respectable 50-43 record. They're 13 games back of the Dodgers for first place. The Padres are 48-45, 15 games back. The Rockies are 39-53, 23.5 games back, though they've won 2 games in a row. And the Giants are 35-57, 27.5 games back. They lost to the A's today, and they've also lost 7 of their last 10 games. And here are the National League wildcard spots. The Marlins right now have the top spot. That's the first time that that's happened all year. The Braves and Diamondbacks tied for the second wildcard spot, and they're each a half game below the Marlins. This is close right now. But the Braves from the East and the Diamondbacks from the West. Then you have the Padres, who are also from the West. The Padres had securely the first wildcard spot up until mid-June and starting this month of July, but they've just gone on some cold streaks. They're 48-45, and they're falling further below these standings. They're 2 games back at the second wildcard spot. The Cubs still relatively in contention, but they're also bordering a .500 winning percentage now. They're 3 games back of the wild card spot. The Brewers could also be considered in contention, though they have a winning percentage below .500, but they're 4 games back of that second wild card spot, and a little bit of a push could move them to get closer and perhaps contend for one of the wild card spots. And every other team in the National League has a winning percentage under .500 and is at least 7.5 games back of that second wild card spot. And let's take a look at league leaders now, starting with batting average leaders in the American League. Miguel Cabrera still at the top with a .349 batting average. Miguel Andujar second best with a .333, and Carlos Santana third best with a .329. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt still leading with a .359 average. Jonathan Villar second best with a .356, and Christian Yelich third best with a .350. Hits leaders in the American League, Miguel Cabrera and Miguel Andujar tied for the top spot at 126 hits, and JD Martinez third best with 122. In the National League, Jonathan Villar is at 139, Paul Goldschmidt second best with 120, and Nolan Arenado third best with 114. Bat leaders in the American League, Jose Abreu has the most with 382. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has the most with 390. Doubles leaders in the American League, Anthony Rendon still at the top with 34. Jose Abreu second best with 30. And Whit Merrifield rounds out the top 3 with 28. In the National League, Jonathan Villar at 40. Christian Yelich second best with 32. And Trey Turner third best with 28. Triples leaders in the American League, Adalberto Mondesi has 7. Jose Altuve with 6. Stephen Piscotty, Whit Merrifield, and Adam Eaton tied for third best with 5. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has 12. The next best, Victor Robles, 5 behind Villar with 7. Chris Bryant, Cody Bellinger, Hunter Pence, and Tommy Edman all tied for third best with 5. Home run leaders in the American League, Justin Upton has the most with 32. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. behind him with 28. Chris Davis and Josh Donaldson are tied for third best with 27. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. has the most with 34. Paul Goldschmidt now 2 behind Acuna Jr. with 32. Jock Peterson, Pete Alonso, and Freddie Freeman tied for third best with 25. RBI leaders in the American League, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is at 86. Chris Davis second best with 78. And Nelson Cruz third best with 74. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt leads with 88. And it's not even close. The next 2 on the list are tied for second. It's Christian Yelich and Ronald Acuna Jr. each tied with 71. Runs scored leaders in the American League, JD Martinez has the most with 70. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. has the most with 78. Stolen base leaders in the American League, Adalberto Mondesi tacked on an extra. He's up to 21 now. D. Gordon still at 19, second best, and Malik Smith at 18, third best. In the National League, Starling Marte and Trey Turner still tied for the top spot with 30. Jonathan Villar is third best with 23. Walks leaders in the American League, Alex Bregman has the most with 57. In the National League, Mookie Betts has the most with 63, though it's been back and forth between Betts and Hoskins. Hoskins second best as of today with 62. On-base percentage leaders in the American League, Miguel Cabrera at a .417 OBP. Alex Bregman second best with a .415, and Josh Donaldson third best with a .413. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has the highest in the NL with a .458. Christian Yelich the next best with a .451, and Ronald Acuna Jr. third best with a .420. Slugging percentage leaders in the American League, Josh Donaldson has the highest with a .650. Max Kepler second best with a .635, and Justin Upton third best with a .620. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt leads with a .728, 2 points behind him. Ronald Acuna Jr. with a .726, and Christian Yelich rounds out the top 3 with a .680. On-base percentage plus slugging percentage leaders in the American League, Josh Donaldson has the highest at a .062. Chris Davis second best with a .022, and Max Kepler third best with a .010. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has a .185. Ronald Acuna Jr. second best with a .146, and Christian Yelich third best with a .131. Moving on to pitcher leaderboards, starting with wins leaders in the American League, Hyunjin Ryu and Kenta Maeda tied for the top spot at 11 wins. Zach Greinke and Jake Odorizzi are each at 10. They're tied for third best on this leaderboard. In the National League, Walker Buehler has the most at 12. Steven Strasburg the next best with 11. David Price and Madison Bumgarner third best with 10. Losses leaders in the American League, Chris Bassett and Kenta Maeda each have 0 losses on the season among pitchers that qualify, but they're undefeated on the mound this season for their respective teams. In the National League, Carlos Martinez has lost the least amount of games. He's lost 1 game this season so far. Saves leaders in the American League, Liam Hendricks has the most with 32. Brad Hand second best with 31. And Roberto Ozuna, third best with 29. In the National League, Giovanni Gallegos has 32. Craig Kimbrell and Kenley Jansen tied for second best with 31. ERA leaders in the American League, Kenta Maeda at the top with a 2.32 earned run average. Jake Odorizzi, the second lowest with a 2.52, and Aaron Savali, third lowest with a 2.63. In the National League, Marcus Stroman at a 2.16. Walker Buehler, the second lowest with a 2.22, and Jacob deGrom, the third lowest with a 2.41. Home runs allowed among American League pitchers, Daniel Norris, Gio Gonzalez, and Kenta Maeda have each allowed 9 home runs this season. In the National League, Caleb Smith has allowed the least amount with 6. Shutout leaders in the American League, Masahiro Tanaka threw a complete game shutout today, and he's up to 4 complete game shutouts on the season. Garrett Cole, the next best with 3, and Jake Odorizzi, third best with 2. In the National League, Jacob deGrom has shut out 4 games this year. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Merrill Kelly, and Walker Buehler have each shut out 2 games. Strikeout leaders in the American League, Garrett Cole has 161, Lucas Giolito has 143, and Jake Odorizzi and Carlos Carrasco tied for third best at 132. In the National League, Steven Strasburg has 154, Clayton Kershaw second best with 148, and Robbie Ray third best with 139. Complete games thrown among American League pitchers, Masahiro Tanaka has thrown 4 complete games, Garrett Cole up to 3 complete games, Jake Odorizzi and Aaron Savali now have 2 complete games thrown on the year. In the National League, Jacob deGrom has 4 complete games thrown, Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler each have 3 complete games thrown. Innings pitched leaders in the American League, Hyunjin Ryu has the most at 129. In the National League, Aaron Nola has the most with 129 and 2/3 innings pitched. Walks allowed among American League pitchers, Carlos Carrasco has allowed the least amount among pitchers that qualify with 22. In the National League, Brett Anderson's allowed the least amount with 24. Whip leaders in the American League, Jake Odorizzi has the lowest at a 106, Hyunjin Ryu the second lowest with a 109, and Masahiro Tanaka the third best with a 110. In the National League, Aaron Nola with the lowest at a 105, Marcus Stroman second lowest at a 106, and Clayton Kershaw third lowest also at a 106, but slightly higher than Stroman's. Pitching war leaders in the American League, Jake Odorizzi's up to a 3, as is Masahiro Tanaka. Carlos Carrasco third best on the list at a 2.9. In the National League, Jacob deGrom's at a 3.5, Steven Strasburg's at a 3.2, and Aaron Nola's at a 3.1. In the American League, batting war leaders, Marcus Semion's at a 5.5, DJ LeMahieu and Yohan Moncada second and third on the list. They each have a 5.1 WAR. In the National League, Christian Yelich is at a 6.6 WAR, Jonathan Villar second best at a 6.2, and Paul Goldschmidt rounds out the top 3 with a 5.9. These have been your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Wednesday, July the 8th, 2020. I'm Nicholas Callis. You've been watching Major League Baseball's Virtual Network.